Hey guys, Jerdo here. So today I'm just going to be kind of talking about what kind of happened the last few days with the car. A lot of stuff happened, not all of it good. In fact, not most of it not good. So I'm going to tell you guys a story of the last 5 days or so and what I've been up to and why I've been a little quiet on Instagram and kind of, yeah, just basically everything that's happened since then. So on last Thursday, today is Tuesday. So last Thursday, I went to Shop A. So this will be Shop A because there are about 3 shops in this story. So this is Shop A. It's near my place. So really well reviewed. A bunch of buddies told me about it. They said, yeah, you know, go here, get it done. That's where I got mine done. So, or my exhaust done. So I was like, okay, I'll take it over there. So I took my exhaust that I bought from my buddy for cheap, took it over there, and I said, hey, I have a cat back, you know, I want to get it on the car. He said, yeah, sure, no problem. I have no hardware. But he's like, yeah, that's fine, no worries. So, you know, a few hours later, because they're busy. So anyway, they finally get to it and they get it on. And he's like, all right, you're good to go. I'm like, sweet, perfect. You know, it sounded really loud. I mean, I didn't know what an aftermarket exhaust is supposed to sound like, but it was fairly drony inside. So I was like, you know, I guess it just comes with it. I looked into getting a silencer, which I'll be picking up tomorrow. But anyway, that's aside from the point. Anyway, so I drive it home. That was Thursday at Shop A. Friday, I'm driving to work. On my way to work, I was gonna take it to Shop B that morning to get a valve adjustment. I'm driving to work, I'm on the highway, and suddenly I hear a rattling noise coming from the rear of the car, and I see a metal thing fall off the back of the car. So I'm like, okay, that's obviously not good. I get to Shop B and I tell them, hey, you know, I was driving, I just got an exhaust on yesterday. I was driving and the exhaust, and I heard, you know, rattling, and I heard a metal piece fall out, and I saw it in the rearview mirror. I told them to take a look at my exhaust, and they're like, yeah, we'll take a look at it. So I was there for a valve adjustment. So they call me, so they don't call me. I just go there at the end of the day after work. I go by to pick up the car, and they tell me that I had told them that I wanted my camshaft seals replaced too, if I needed it. And it turns out that they did need it. So the valve adjustment, I had to get my camshaft seals replaced, which was a pretty penny. Now on top of that, they tell me that the exhaust was missing a bolt and that the rest of the bolts were loose. So at this point, I'm pretty upset because it was supposed to be done yesterday. It was supposed to be done well. So it's supposed to be done well, and you know, they sent me home with loose exhaust bolts, which is, you know, pretty unacceptable. I was like, okay, I'll just go talk to him on Monday and then see what happens. So now we're Saturday, and we took a long drive. My girlfriend and a friend and I, we took a long drive up about 3 hours away, and on the way I start hearing screeching noise. I knew I was low on my brakes, so I was like, oh, it's probably my brakes. But then I start hearing it constantly, even when I'm not braking. So I'm like, oh God, please no, I think my caliper is seized. So lo and behold, yes, my caliper is seized. So I'm like screeching everywhere I drive. So I'm like, okay, we take the drive. I mean, nothing I can do. So we just drive there, drive back with this seized caliper. And I'll just take it to back to Shop A on Monday, because Shop A is close to my house, and I didn't want to drive to Shop B, which is fairly far away from my house because I work far. I didn't want to drive with a seized caliper all the way to Shop B or Shop C, which will be coming up later. So I said I'll just take it to Shop A, and then I'll talk to them about the bolts at the same time and try to get a deal. So I go back to Shop A Monday morning now. So it's Monday morning. I go back to Shop A and I tell them, hey, you know, my rear caliper is seized, or something happened with my brakes, and I think it's this. And they're like, okay, we'll test it and see what happens and see what we think. And then I told him about the bolts, and he's like, okay, we'll talk about that once we, you know, figure out what's going on with your car. I'm like, okay. Oh, I forgot to mention, between Thursday and Monday, a few people on Instagram and a couple of my own friends actually told me that on the way that they set up the exhaust on Thursday, it didn't clear the muffler tip didn't clear the bumper, so it was too far set in, and it was just, and people were telling me, you know, you got to get it fixed eventually because you might end up melting your bumper. So I said, oh crap, man, it might affect how it sounds and stuff. So I was like, okay, crap, okay, I'll get it fixed. Okay, so we're back on Monday. I'm at the shop getting my caliper replaced, and they're like, okay, so they give me a quote. You know, it's stupid expensive, but it's kind of an emergency. I don't want to be driving around much with a seized caliper. So I said, okay, all right, let's do it. And he said, you know, to make up for the exhaust bolts that I messed up, I'll give you 10% off parts, I'll give you 10% off, 50% off labor, and I will extend out your muffler out for free. And I said, all right, I appreciate that. So, you know, he didn't make up for it. So I'm like, okay, so my caliper gets replaced. He gets finished around midday, so I still have time to get to work and just work half a day. So I'm driving to work, and I noticed that slowly but surely my brakes are becoming just mush, just so spongy. It's like I almost had no brake fluid. It was really, really bad. Like at some points I was like at red lights and my car would be creeping forward because I would be at a complete stop and then it would just suddenly become not enough pressure, I guess, to hold the car in place, and it would just start creeping, and it was really bad, really scary. So at this point, it's Monday afternoon. I immediately call up Shop C, which is a shop that I usually go to for stuff, because it's really easy for me, really convenient, because I can just drop it off to work and then pick it up at the end of the day. So it's no pressure on him, and he's a really good guy. So I take it to shop. So I call my buddy at my guy at Shop C, and I tell him, you know what, I just got a rear caliper replaced and I'm having these issues. I don't want to deal with them anymore. This is the second time that they sent me away and sent me home with a car that's unsafe. I'd rather just get it done here and get them to pay for it. So we're like, okay, yeah, sure, you know, something's going on, we'll take a look at it. So he schedules me in for the next day, which is today, Tuesday. So this is all on Monday. It's all happening on Monday. Monday night I come back home, I get home okay. I managed to not die in a car accident, and I noticed that there's fluid leaking out of my caliper that they had just replaced. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like, why would it be leaking if they just replaced it? So my buddy's telling me, you know, like there's definitely a leak, especially what you're telling me, because like I'm holding down my brake at a red light, and then it just start creeping forward, like you're just losing pressure, you're leaking. So I'm like, oh my god, all right. So I take it into the shop. So Tuesday comes along today. This morning I go to the shop C near my work. I take it to Shop C, and he tells me, all right, I'll take a look at it. So he calls me in later. He calls me in later in the day. I'm at work, so he calls me and he tells me, listen, buddy, how much bad news can you bear? And I'm like, just lay it on me. Not a lot at this point. I've spent a lot of money on maintenance, you know, camshaft seals, my valve adjustment, my rear caliper. You know, I can't take a lot of bad news. And he tells me, I think they used the wrong caliper, so that's why you're leaking. And then on top of that, your brake line has been gashed open, like it's been torn. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's why I was leaking so much, was because my brake line had been torn. So he's like, yeah, they actually just straight up used the wrong caliper. It's completely different than your other side, which made me really mad for two reasons. One is because apparently the guy at Shop A, to get the caliper to fit, or to get the brake line to reach the caliper, he actually took a grinder and grinded part of the brake caliper in order to make it fit. And obviously, since he's taken a grinder to it, he left a bunch of sharp edges for the brake lines to rest on. And guess what happened to those brake lines? They just got torn and gashed open on the caliper edges that had been grinded on. Secondly, I got rear brake pads as well. So he replaced the rear brake pad on my passenger side rear caliper, which is the correct one, and then did the same thing for the one on the driver's side, and didn't even notice that they were completely different. Like, I was just taken aback. I had no idea what was going on. So we both think that we're fairly sure that the caliper that they tried to make fit on my car was a GSR caliper, which are different from the GS calipers. So he's telling me this story, and he's like, all right, I'm like, you know what, yeah, just do it, and I'm gonna take that bill, I'm gonna take it to Shop A and get them to pay for it. Because at that point, I'm just incredibly upset. I'm incredibly livid. Like, they messed up twice at this point. They sent me home with a loose exhaust, and they sent me home with basically just broken brakes. Like the rear brake was just not working, completely leaking, and my brakes were just completely messed up. So immediately after I get off the phone with Shop C, after he tells me all that stuff, I get on the phone with Shop A and I tell him, you know what, you know, I brought it in yesterday to get a caliper fixed. This is what happened. This is what's going on. And, you know, once again, credit to Shop A. Like, he owned up to it. He's like, you know what, that's what's going on. Get it fixed over there, because it is a safety issue. Get it fixed over there and let me know what the bill is, and then I'll take care of it. And that's what happened. So Shop C, you know, the shop that I should have originally have gone to, but I just didn't want to drive out on a C's caliper. Shop C did a great job. My brakes are mint now, you know, and he gave me the bill, which was actually less than Shop A did it for, slightly less, even though Shop A gave me a 50% discount on labor and a 10% discount on parts. It was still cheaper to get it done at Shop C at a regular cost, which is ridiculous. But anyway, the point aside is that so I finally called up the owner of Shop A, and I was like, okay, here, I got the bill. And it turns out that we live and work in opposite cities. So he works in one city, and that's where I live, and then he lives in the city that I work in. So we're like, okay, we'll just meet in the middle, because we're both on our way home. We'll meet somewhere in the middle. So we met up in the middle. He gave me a check for the amount that Shop C charged in order to get it fixed properly. And I think it's finally dealt with, but it was just a 5-day ordeal of, you know, just things going wrong, shop messing messing up, car was just not right, and there was always something wrong with the car for the longest time, and I absolutely hated it. And so right now, all the car needs right now is front brake pads, which I'll do myself. So I'm gonna end up actually just putting those on myself, and right now just getting a silencer for the muffler, and that's about all that's left to be done. But the car is finally back where it should be, good state and good health. And man, I was just upset, spent a lot of money, and had to go back and forth and chase people down, and it was just incredibly frustrating. But it's all dealt with now. Lesson learned, do it yourself and do it right. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched the whole video, appreciate that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at jordo.dc4, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.